Oh, hi, good morning. I didn't realize I was
Morning.
first. Okay, a couple of quick ones. The first one is, do you remember the restaurant in Seattle where Greg Byrne flew up to interview you? And can you tell me the name of the restaurant and whether it was coffee, lunch, dinner, or breakfast, whatever it was?
Yeah, so
That's the first question. And I've got one
it
more.
okay. Well, you want me to answer the first one
Please,
first?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, so first of all, the first time he called me, I didn't have his number saved, obviously, because I didn't know him. And it was a random 520 number. And I kind of answered and he said it was. I was like, hi. And that was like a first thing. So I was shocked. It wasn't a call I was expecting. It was, I think, right before the Pac-12 tournament. Um, the year I was hired. And then he, like a couple days later, we talked, obviously, so I wasn't distracted from that. And then he asked me like the best places, or somewhere I'd like to go that was kind of quiet in Seattle. And it was yes, I do remember the place because I wanted a place. I was like, okay, what's a place where it's not too busy? No one will see us, because I was working in Washington. He was in I think, what did they used to call him? They used to call him not the ninja. I don't know. You guys probably know the nickname they used to have for Greg Byrne because he used to fly in like quietly and take care of his business. It wasn't the ninja. You guys could probably research that and find out, but they had a secret name for him. But we went to this place called Wild Ginger. It's in downtown Seattle. It's a really nice restaurant, but it's like Euro Asian food. It's one of my favorite restaurants, but it's like you can do business there because there's booths and no one can see you, and so you can like have privacy and stuff. So I recommend that place when you go to Seattle.
Okay, and was that dinner or lunch or
It was lunch, and it was like
lunch?
a 3-hour lunch.
Really? And what did you enjoy the most about playing in Arizona?
Um, I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed the fans. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the family environment in Ncaa. For me, there was a lot of personal reasons about just coming to Arizona. The first thing was it wasn't too far, but not too close to home. My parents could still like drive up on the weekends. When I walked on campus for the first time, I looked in Mikhail and I was like, wow, I could see myself here. So when I talk to recruits, I talk about that feeling in your stomach that when you come to campus, you should have that. You should have the butterflies in your stomach, like, this is the place I want to be. And I had that in Mikhail. So it was the right decision for me. It was a great decision.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, PJ.
Okay. The right as we were waiting for you guys to come on, the Naismith late season Coach of the Year watch list came out, and you're on it for the second consecutive year. How does that feel?
It's cool. I think I'll probably never win it, but at least you're on the list. I'll never win it, but who knows? It was funny because last year when I saw, I was like excited. I was like, "Oh, that's a cool honor. It's just an honor." And then I saw who was on it with me. I was like, "I'm never gonna win it over Don State." I was like, "Oh darn!" It's one of those yes, but damn. I think it's an honor just because like people are recognizing the work we're doing in Arizona, and I think that for me it's fun because I'm just starting my career. I've been the head coach for 5 years. So for me, I feel like I'm just in the beginning and, we're getting better. I'm getting better. I look back at my year one, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was awful. Just the mistakes I made and like, just, I'm better now. So you get better every year. So I can't imagine I'm 30 years in how, much better I'll be, but I think you have to work at it and it's a hard job. Winning is hard. That's why I admire and I look up and I try to follow and do things like Tara Vanderveer and Coach Candrea and Sean. It's like I learn from them because they're the best. And if I can my thing is if I take a couple things a year from these people, I get better. Imagine how much better I am in 10 years. So I always steal stuff from Coach Candrea. So I think that's pretty smart.
Great. And I have another sort of and a different subject about your team. This year, you've had a little bit of a different strength and conditioning approach. You have a new coach to help you with that. How do you think that's translated to the court this year? And where have you seen sort of the gains from that?
So strength and conditioning is one of the most important aspects of our program because when you think about a women's basketball team, who are the first people that touch the kids? It's strength and conditioning. So even before we have limited hours, they touch them first. So it's where the culture is established. It's where You prevent injuries. Just having our team conditions is essential for what we do because we press. And so it is one of the most important positions for me. I felt like that was an area we were lacking tremendously the last 4 years. And it's not exactly where I want it to be, but it is so much better. I think that a lot of it's the relationships. I think your strength and conditioning coach has to be someone that the players trust, have to be someone that the players want to get better with. So like they should be going to your strength and conditioning coach saying, "Hey, let's do the ab challenge. I'm not that fit yet, but I want to work extra." They should want to work extra. That's how it was. When I was here and Carla Garrett was here, she kicked my butt, but I was strong as an ox. And I wasn't injured. I didn't miss games, all those things. So I think my expectations are very high in that area, which probably isn't easy for that position. But I think Jaime has been a great addition. I think that he's very consistent. He's got a great temperament, and those are important things to me. When I look at me, I'm consistent. I'm not one day like and next day like yeah. I just like I hate people like that. I don't work well with people like that. I don't relate to people like that. So consistency is important. He gives us that. The girls like him. So then when you like someone, you want to work for them. They're not gonna like him all the time, and I'm okay with that. Because when they're sore, they probably don't like him, but that's fine. I think he's been a good addition to our program. I think we look stronger. I think you look at Ari. It's easy to look at the specimens like Bendu, Ari, like they're genetic freaks. Like they're born probably cut up. But the other players like Kate's stronger. She's not on the floor as much. All those things I think you'll see that's a result of the weight room, a lot of it, and training, but the weight room a lot.
And I had just talked to Jaime, and he mentioned that Maddie came into him and said, "Hey, I want to work on this." What is that? How does that make you feel that Maddie, the newest member of the team, is already got that going where she's going to reach out to him and start working on things?
Well, it's important, but that's an expectation. It's a standard here. So I'd be disappointed if she didn't do that. And it's like Maddie, Darren, players going on a day off. Now, the thing is, the culture that I want, that you'll see at Arizona in a couple more years, is that everybody's doing that. Right now, we don't have that because we're not a championship team yet. But when we get to be a championship team, you will see more of that. Instead of 4 people, you'll see 15 people. Hopefully we'll have 12 or 13, but you'll see the whole team. That's the difference between good and great. And that's the difference between a player that's keyed in and honed in on going pro. Because the player that does that's our leader in the weight room and that's made us better this year is Trinity. Trinity is an ox and she's a dog. She's strong. So every practice people complain about how physical she is, and I just laugh because I love it because she brings us that. She works her butt off in the weight room. She's one of the reasons why we're better in the weight room, like no doubt.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Ryan.
How would you describe Kate's improvement? I mean, would you say it's like gradual, linear, exponential? And what areas has she improved the most since she got here?
I think she's improved. God, it's probably none of those words. I think she improved tremendously from last year. You didn't see that the first half of the year, but I think now you're seeing it. She's stronger. If you notice, like the first couple years, she would not use her left hand to save her life. I mean, like you could have said, you'll get $1 million going left and you get $5 going right. She would have forgotten gone right. But like now she's starting to go left. Now she's finishing on balance. She still doesn't have great balance. She's still on the floor a lot, but it's much better than it was. And now she's more confident. Now she's not celebrating when she goes left, but she's got a great left hand. Now she's driving left. We still have to work with her on absorbing the contact, but some of that's her physique. She's not like, she doesn't have a lot of girth, so she's not going to bang, but she doesn't need to. So her versatility is her advantage. I think you've seen an improved 3-point shot. You've been seen improvement on just her balance, which remember her first couple of years, she was on the floor probably 20 times a game. Now it's probably 10 or 5. No, but it's improvement. You see her playing more physical. I think you see her running the floor better. All those things, you can see a big difference. I think, year by year. And she's just becoming a better player. She's reading situations better. So her growth is, I'd like to see it improve even more. And I think the more work she puts in around practice, you'll see that improvement more.
Is she kind of the
Sorry.
is she kind of the blueprint for like what you want this program to be about? Because she was a 5-star recruit. She got here. She's gotten better every year. Is that kind of like, and then obviously the team's gotten better too. Is that kind of like when you're recruiting these kids, she's someone you point to and be like, oh, we got her and this is how she's gotten better over the years?
Yeah, it's important for us. So when we're recruiting, we do talk about that because I always tell recruits, you look for evidence. Everybody says they can develop. Everybody says they get their plays better, but look at us. And I said, do your research. Go look at Kate when she's a freshman. Go look at Kate when she's a sophomore. Look at Kate now. Look at Ari when she was at Washington. Look at Ari her first year here. Look at Ari now. Some of that's just game experience, but you should see improvement in skill. And I think an example is you're starting to see Shayna's improvement. It's not where it needs to be, but you're starting to see it. She's doing stuff now. She didn't do a year ago. She didn't do the beginning of the season. So it's slow. And but we're one of the few teams that we do skill work every day. And some players probably don't love it. Some players do. But like a typical week for us, Sunday game, Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is individual skills. So it's like 7, 8 in the morning. It's an hour. It's individual. And then there's practice that night. And then, like it changes. And on Thursday, sometimes it's like post and guards. But we do that. So we value that. And then we just take that time out of practice. So that's something we want to be known for here because we're not like South Carolina or UConn where we have 10 McDonald's All-Americans on the roster, or Oregon has 7 McDonald's All-Americans. We don't have that. So we have to develop our kids and get them better. And I think another example that we use a lot is Sam. So Sam has improved. She came in, wasn't a 3-point shooter. I mean, she's gotten better.
Are you surprised you haven't gotten any other McDonald's All-Americans?
Wait, what'd you say it again?
Are you surprised that you haven't gotten any other McDonald's All-Americans? I know Lauren Ware might have been one if she were
She
healthy.
would have been one for sure. So Lauren Ware would have for sure been one. I think Maddie would have had a good chance, but like her high school situation is different. There is a player that we have committed for 22 that should be a McDonald's All-American. So no, I'm not surprised because I think some of it's political. If you don't play on the circuit, you don't play with the big AAU, like you usually don't get those awards, but no, we'll get more McDonald's All-Americans for sure.
And next year, depending obviously which seniors leave or come back, I mean, this could be Kate's team. I mean, if Sam's gone and Ari's gone, like she'll be the number one option. I mean, how ready do you think she is for a role like that?
I think she'll be ready. I think Kate's always ready. I think she would love a role like that. I think she'll embrace it for sure. And remember, Kate could potentially have 2 more years because this year is a free year for Kate. So I think that she'll take the challenge on. Like I'd have to just say, Kate, it's your year next year. She will work her butt off. Like she'll do whatever it takes. So I think for Kate, for me, what I'd like to see Kate. So the comparison I give to Kate is I want to see her turn into a Megan Huff. Do you guys remember Megan Huff from Utah? She was like almost 50% from the 3. She could take you off the dribble. She can go inside and out. She was a player that was very underrated, not really heavily recruited, but got better in college. And then now she's a pro. I think Kate's capable of doing those things.
Go ahead, Rich.
Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Thanks.
I was talking with Dave Hickey yesterday, and he was reflecting on senior night on Sunday and said what a wonderful ceremony it was. What went through your mind when you saw all 3 of your seniors being honored? Because all of them came to you in different ways, at different times in this program. And did you think about your senior night and what that was like?
Well, my senior night was so long ago, so I don't remember that. Barely. It's funny because I had a boyfriend for a long time back then, and definitely, back then I walked it with him. I thought I was gonna marry him, didn't marry him. I have another one now, so it's funny when I look at the pictures. But yeah, I know. Honestly, one of the biggest things for me was I do not want to send the seniors off like last year. Last year, that was brutal for me and the program. So remember, we had that Friday Stanford win, which was the biggest win of our, career here. And then we followed up with the Sunday loss, which was the worst loss of my career here. So I remember that feeling. And I remember having to talk about all the seniors, and just that whole day was like, because we had a ceremony after, like a dinner after, I remember just being kind of devastated. That was hard. So I was like, I do not want that to happen. Ari has done so much for this program. She has helped change this program. She's left a legacy here. She's done so many things that people couldn't have even imagined, not even herself. And so wanted to send her off with something special. It felt really bad because it's not the way we should send them off. I was just envisioning, gosh, well, if you'd asked me a year ago, I envisioned this year for 15,000 people to be here and to like have a standing ovation and the whole crowd would be saying, one more year, all that stuff. And it didn't happen. Her family didn't get to go on the court. So I'm just sad that it wasn't how it should be. But we won and we've had a great year. And then Sam and in Trinity, the same thing. It's just that it's tough to be in COVID and celebrate.
You brought up Stanford, so let's go to the race to the end of the regular season into the Pac-12 tournament. Stanford's looming out there, opportunity maybe to play them more than once. Is your team playing its best basketball right now? Are you poised to hit that peak as you get to postseason?
We're not playing our best basketball right now, but we're playing a lot better. I think we're just continuing to improve, but I want to see us improve by Monday. So there's little things we're tweaking and working on, and there's little things we're doing that I want to see us get better by Monday, but we're playing much better than we did. I watched the Stanford game from last time. And we're just a totally different team than we were. So we're just a lot better.
How do you keep the Stanford game in perspective, knowing that you've got them on Monday, then you might have them in the tournament, you might see them again sometime, without making sure that you don't get too high or looking too forward to them, and making sure you take care of the business that's right in front of you?
Wait, can you say the question once more? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, I was going to ask him a question too. How's it going, buddy?
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you. Okay, so the question is, for the Stanford game, how do you keep your sights on Stanford but not making it too big or too low, because you're going to have to play them a couple times in order to get to where you want to be?
Yeah, so I think definitely don't want to get too high or too low, because there's a lot riding on that game probably. A couple things. It's our third ESPN game. They killed us the last time we played them. It could potentially be for the championship. So there's just a lot of things. So we don't talk about that. We talk about just taking one game at a time. We control our own destiny, and our goal is to win out. So my philosophy is never get too high, never get too low, and just treat every game the same. Because as a player, psychologically, if you treat one game bigger, some people rise, some people fold. So it's just better to just treat it like, don't tell them the numbers, don't tell them the stats. Like, I don't want to pull out a stat like Arizona's 1-87 at Stanford. Those are the stats we don't want to talk about. Like just all those things. So just one game at a time, knowing that we can play with anybody in the country, and I think that we can beat anybody. So just excited about that.
I haven't asked you much about the assistant coaches. We haven't talked about them a lot. Can you talk about the job that they've done this year with the rise of Arizona basketball, working through COVID and all the challenges your assistants have had?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a lot. I think that, assistant jobs are hard because a lot of their stuff is managing, putting out fires before like they lead to me. So I think they've done a really good job. I think there's just a little bit more pressure on all of us this year. I think when you're the underdog, there's no pressure. When you're like the target's on your back, there's pressure. So I think they've done great at just keeping the team engaged, happy, keeping stuff off my desk, handling things without like having to bog me down. Because there's literally, like right now, I'm on the computer. There's stuff in something every day. There's like it can be small, it can be big. So I think they help with a lot of those things, and I trust that they can do them. So it's a really good staff, and we're all very different with a lot of different strengths and weaknesses. And I think the other thing that's not easy as an assistant, and I know Salvo's in charge of our skill work, but we all do skill work here. It's a lot of work doing that. So like an example is yesterday, we test every morning at 7 a.m. So when we have skill, we go from like Salvo's on the court yesterday from 8 a.m. until the end of practice. So that's 8 to 3. So it's like back to back. And sometimes there's no breaks to even eat because of class stuff. So it's like 8 to 8:45 or 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. And the assistant coaches are doing that with groups and individual too. So it's a lot of work. But my thing is it's hard being good, and it's hard trying to be the best, but that's what we're trying to do. So it takes work.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Troy, go ahead.
So with Stanford coming up on Monday, I know you have California before Stanford, but how would you evaluate your team from when you guys lost against Stanford to right now? Where are the areas you guys have grown in? Where do you think you still need improvement?
Yes, our defense is much better. We could not contain anybody off the dribble. We could not guard anybody in the post there. We didn't guard the 3-point line well. We didn't run any offense. We were just all around the perimeter because Stanford was all in the paint. I think we're shooting the ball better and we're just running better offense. We took very bad shots. I was watching a game yesterday, like it's just upsetting to watch. And that's credit to what Stanford made us do. So I just think we're better offensively, defensively. I think we're more confident. I think we got punched in the face because we thought we were good. And then like we realized what number 1 looks like or what number 5 looks like, and we weren't that good. So I think it gave us a reality check. I think it was a good loss for us because I think it kind of put us in our place. So now it's like, how are we going to respond? We've gotten better. They're our only loss in Washington State at the buzzer in overtime. So, but Stanford, we got handled. So I'm curious to see how we're going to respond to that. Like how far we've come along. Like, are we going to rise to the occasion? Because it's going to tell me a lot about this team. Because that's the type of team that's possible. They can go to the Final Four, or they can win a championship. So I want to see how we rise to the occasion, and we'll see where we're at. And then we're just after that we have the Pac-12 tournament. That's going to be exciting. I think we have chances to do some special things. So I'm just excited to see it.
And in that game, Helena took 1 shot, went 0 for 1, had 5 assists. How much of a factor do you think she'll play into this matchup this time around?
Oh, she's a factor in every big game. We need her to shoot. So did you notice a difference between Sam's like aggressiveness last game? Like she was looking for shots. Yes, some of them a little contested. Yes, but those are the shots she's earned to take. So we didn't change anything. She was just more aggressive and was seeking those shots. So that's what we want her to do. We run the same stuff. We get them open. Ari's going to find people and she's going to draw people. You're going to get shots, but we want Sam and Helena to take them. Sam was taking them. She's been more aggressive. So that's the expectation. If we don't have Sam and Helena shooting the ball and spreading the defense out, we don't win because there's particular lineups we play, we don't get guarded. So those are difficult. Then you can't get the ball inside. You can't penetrate. So we have to have lineups that spread the floor. And I think someone that's coming along too, slowly but surely, is Maddie. She could help us spread the floor. And so, it's just getting her in the defensive system and just learning a little bit more. But I think she's someone later that we can use down the stretch. And hopefully, I'm hoping that a game like Friday, we can, get her minutes.
And then the past week, the projections for the NCAA tournament came out. You guys were at the number 8 spot, which is a 2 seed. Do you feel like your team is at that point yet or still working towards that point?
No, I think we're at that point. I think we've shown that we're there. I think that for us, I think we control our own destiny. I think if we win out or if we win the games we're supposed to, I think we'll stay there. I think we can only improve. If we were to win the conference or win the Pac-12 tournament, I think we're just in a better situation. But right now, one game at a time, we've worked hard to get to where we're at. Unfortunately, we were shut down and missed a couple games. I think that we would have been even better because we could have had like 3 more wins, maybe 4, maybe 2. But like, I just think that we're playing good basketball. We're getting better. We're starting to peak at the right time. So I'm excited. This is the last, I don't know, I think it's like 27 days or something. I don't know how many days till Selection Monday, but this is where we need to hit our stride. This is where we need to like take it to the next level. And I think we're capable of doing that. I don't think you've seen our best basketball yet.
Go ahead, Ryan.
What did you think of the region that you were in with UConn, Tennessee, and Baylor? It's like those are like 3 of the top programs in the sport.
Yeah, I didn't mind being in that region. I think those would be fun teams to face. I think I think UConn's really good, but I think that we're pretty good too. I think that we can beat any of those teams on any given night. We can lose also, but I think that those would be hard teams. But I like that bracket than some of the other brackets. Now I think in just the experience to be able to play UConn in that type of setting, I think that'd be amazing. I think you want to play the best, and I think Baylor, they're big, athletic, strong. I think it'd be fun. So I think you live for those things. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to. I think other brackets I would like less. Like if I was someone else, I wouldn't want to be in Stanford's bracket. There's certain teams like there's some really good teams out there, but everybody's so good. You look at all the brackets, you're like, you probably wouldn't want to be in any of them. So you got to pick your poison.
And you got another 2021 commit recently. Can we assume that that class is done now, or does it just depend on the seniors?
Well, it depends on the seniors. It's not done because someone will probably be returning. So yeah, and they'll go into that class. But also, I think that there's also the transfer portal, so it probably won't be done, and we won't know for a while because there's recruiting's kind of weird right now. But I think that in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, you're gonna see a lot of kids hit the transfer portal. But I think my main focus is, having a couple people stay from this class, like, because you know what to expect. You've already had them, they're your players, so that's my priority, obviously, and making room for that. And then could possibly take another transfer if it was a right fit. There is one particular transfer I'm really looking at. It's someone I've known, it's someone I recruited, and it's someone that would be phenomenal for our program for a year or two. But it's really difficult when people can't visit right now. So
And,
I'm pushing for a couple.
and how does the scholarship situation work? Because I know like you usually don't like to go. You've said you don't like to have 15 scholarship players because that's just too many players. But this year, I mean, or you have the chance to add, I guess, to go over that limit, right? If
Yeah.
you have 15 and then you also have the seniors come back. But where do you kind of stand on what you would like to do with that?
Well, because of this year, I can't control that. So if they said, "Oh, you have 15, but you'll have 18 if you have all three back," I'd say, "Okay, sorry," because that would be a great situation. So I don't think the perfect number is 15 because then you have 10 unhappy people. And you saw like Cheval left at Christmas, like people will leave. And I think that's just kind of how basketball is. But every year I've said we have too much, we ended up losing people. So I think he never ended up having too much. Or fortunate for us, if we would have had 12 people this year, we would have ended up having 9 practice. And then you have a situation like Corey at UCLA. So I think, probably going to have bigger rosters now for the next couple of years, and until I get a consistent probably group, or just specific roles filled. And I think it's hard. So I think there will be a lot of changes. I think we'll look a lot different next year, but I think we'll still have a good chance to be good.
Kim, go ahead.
I want to go back to the NCAA's and talk about fans. I'm assuming there's going to be fans at the tournament because there have been in other leagues in the state of Texas. Do you think that'll be a disadvantage for the Pac-12 because they've not played in front of fans this year? Do you think it'll matter?
No, I don't think it'll matter. I think it'll just be good. So I think that the players are so much better. I think it's harder to play without fans. So I think the challenge was the beginning of the Pac-12, just getting used to it, not feeling like a game. That's been hard. And the crowd noise is much different. So I think when you add the fans, it's going to be so much more exciting. I think we're going to play even better because I can't tell you how much better we would have been in all of our games this year at home with 5 to 15,000 people. We would have just been, I think, better defensively, bigger plays, more enthused. Like we really fed off the crowd. So I think San Antonio is going to have fans. I think the Pac-12 might have fans too because of Vegas. So I'm pretty optimistic. I'm knocking on wood. I hope so. The hard thing is going to be not seeing your family and stuff, but I think that they should allow fans in the Pac-12, and I think that they should allow, but we're just protected. We won't go near them. We'll be in our tier 1 with our protocol and testing and all that. But I think that they should let the kids have family, and I think they are in the conference, and hopefully we'll get some people from Tucson and San Antonio. It's not that far, so I'm hoping.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I meant to ask, just what are your thoughts on Cal? Obviously, they don't have a win this year, but that could also maybe you could look at that as a trap game or something like that.
It is, to me, those are the scariest teams to play because they're very easy. Kids are kids, very easy to overlook a team. They're super athletic. They're better than they were. They haven't played but a couple games the last month and a half. So it's teams that are scary. They have nothing to lose. And so they just go out and play. They don't care if they lose or win. Those are hard teams to play. And it scares me because what happened last year, they only had, I think, 1 win when they played us, maybe 2, or we were their second. I don't remember. And look what happened. So I think that they're struggling a little bit more this year, and they have some injuries and different things going on. But I'm proud of also how Sharman has handled everything. I think if Sharman would have been another coach and not the competitor she is, we've been teammates on a couple different pro teams, so I know her. She's driven, she's competitive, she has pride. So I think if she would have been someone else or in a different conference, I think she would have opted out of the season. But she didn't. She stuck it out, and so I'm proud of the way she's handled it because it's a hard situation to be in. but I do not want our kids to overlook it. And yes, games like that are scary. And also, it's not even about winning or losing. And this is what I talk to our team about. It's about playing well and being happy with our performance and improving, because it's not about Cal. It's the next game we have Stanford. So it's like we have to play to our level. And we didn't do that against Washington. We didn't. We let Washington hand it to us for some parts of quarters. And to me, that shouldn't happen, because when I watch Stanfords and UConns and all those in those top 8 that we saw in the top 16, I don't see a lot of letdowns on those teams because they're used to being so good. And that's why I talk about uncharted territory. We're not there yet. We're not like ready to, like, if you're 80 points better to beat someone by 80. Like, so that's what like great teams do. And so that's like what we need to learn how to do, is like put some away and just kill them. And we don't we don't have that mentality yet. Like, but we'll get it. It's just we're not used to winning so much.
PJ, go ahead.
Yeah, you always talk about focusing on yourself and improving every game. What are the little things that you want to improve on in these next 2 games this weekend?
So the first thing is just taking care of the ball. Way too many turnovers. I talked to Ari about the Ari had 5 in 1 quarter, and some of it, the intentions are right, the look is right, because I saw some of. I was next to her on one of them. I saw the vision where it looked open, but not taking those risks sometimes when we don't need to. Um, um, Definitely as a team, because it can't be Ari and Shayna having 9 turnovers or 20. Like, those are our point guards, so that has to be taken care of. And I emphasize all the time to jump stop. I do not like running and passing. I do not like jumping in the air and passing. And if you watch us play basketball, almost every time we make that mistake, it is a turnover. So we talk about that a lot in practice. Like, every day I talk about it. Jump stop, on balance, all those things. Because I'm big on balance and being in control of your body, right? Especially when you're a good athlete and you're fast. So want to improve on that. Want to continue to improve on our shooting, because right now we're hot and cold. We're like 10 for 14 or we're 1 for 20. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like there is no in between. There's not, like, I don't know what it is. We're either hot as heck or we're cold as heck. So want us to continue on the consistency of that, because it affects the way people defend us. The next thing I would say is consistently boxing out. Sometimes we're great. Sometimes we're awful. Against Washington, we were awful. It was one we stat our box outs. We stat our opportunities to do it and our execution of it, and we had one of the lowest ratings of the year. So it wasn't, to me, it wasn't about the Washington win. It was about, do we want to be able to beat the Stanfords, the UCLA's, the top teams in the country? You don't do it by that percentage of box out. So I have to improve in that area too. And I'd say the other one is just to continue to improve our offense and taking good shots, or Sam being aggressive, Helena being aggressive. If Kate just was hot, like she was hot in the 3rd quarter, she's hot, feed her. So like those kind of things, Helena just hit 2 threes. Maybe Trinity has an open shot, but get it to Helena. Like those kind of game things. So those are probably the areas I want to improve. And I think if you see us do those things, we go to another level. So it's a long list. It's like 5 things, not 2, but we're working.
Are there any other questions for Coach Barnes?
Okay, cool, you guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Coach.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So how would you kind of describe your development as a player? I mean, would you describe it as gradual, exponential? I mean, and what areas do you think you've improved the most since you've gone to Arizona?
I would probably say gradual. I think I get better during the season, but also in the off time preseason. I would say that I probably have gotten a lot. I mean, I've gotten a lot better at defense. That's the thing that we don't ever do in high school. So it's just like a foreign thing, I guess, until you get to college. But I definitely struggled a lot on that in my freshman year. But they do a great job of focusing on defense in practice and helping you to be ready. I also think I just got better at shooting. I only made a couple threes in high school too. I never really shot them, but I didn't make them either. So that's something I've gotten better at. So I think that I definitely think it's been gradual though, just my how I've improved throughout the years.
And Adia said that when she's recruiting players, she's telling them to look for evidence of player development, and she's using you an example. So what would you like if what would you tell a 5-star recruit about this program and why they should pick this program?
I mean, they focus on the details. I mean, they obviously they want you to be great at what you do, but they want you to be great at other things too. When I came in, I couldn't use my left hand, and now I can use my left hand. So I think it's just like, of course, I'm better going right, but there are a lot of times people were trying to take away my right because I can't use my left, and now they can't really do that as much. So I think it's just knowing that if you truly do want to get better, like you should go to a place where they're going to push you to be uncomfortable and push you to be the best that you can be.
And why did you pick Arizona? Because when you were a senior, they had 6 wins. They had no track record of player development, at least yet. So what made you kind of take that leap of faith?
I think you're just buying into what Coach Adia had planned for for the upcoming seasons. I mean, Ari and Sam and I all kind of took that little leap. I mean, Sam took it way before we did, and she stuck it out. But I think it's just knowing that I wanted to be a part of the rebuilding process. I wanted to make a big impact immediately, and I think we all kind of did. And just being able to see her vision and kind of make it our own is really something that kind of brought me out here.
What was the reaction when you committed? Were people like, why would you go there, or why not go to a more established program?
I mean, there were definitely people like that, especially coming from Texas where there's such kind of powerhouse programs there. It was definitely, I guess, interesting for people to see me going to Arizona so far where they haven't had success in so many years. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's my decision. And even my parents would ask me, like, where else would you go if you didn't go to Arizona? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I really had no idea where else I would have gone. Like, it just felt like home. So I think that really helped me too, is that I couldn't see myself at any other school.
And how would you say your career's gone compared to how you expected?
I mean, I think it's been great. I mean, I couldn't be any happier with how the program is and how we're succeeding and just continuing to raise the bar for ourselves. So I think that's a great thing to see. I mean, Coach Adia has said it multiple times, but she said, like, if someone told her that, like, where we would be right now is like top 10 in the country, like second seed, it would be, she would laugh. She'd be like, that's not funny. And I think that's true. Like, our progression has happened so quickly. We made a huge impact my freshman year. And I think that we just continued to get better. We kept being able to recruit players that kind of fit into the picture great. And I think that's really helped us because we can now recruit players just like us that want to come in here and win. So I think that's great. We compete. This is the most we've ever competed since I've been here this year. So I think that's great too, to have people that really want to win just like us.
Go ahead, Troy.
Kate, since you got here at Arizona, you've always been a vocal player on the court, directing traffic and whatnot. But where do you think you've grown in terms of a leadership role off the court with the team? How do you think that's development's gone?
I think I do great. I mean, Sam has always been the one that just kind of helps with details and stuff like that. So maybe I'll take her spot once she leaves. But I mean, I just think that even my freshman year, even last year, I was a little nervous to like say stuff in practice. So I think that just being able to kind of grow into my position of being like kind of like a leader, it really helped me to be able to use my voice in practice and be able to speak up and be like, no, like we need to do an extra rep and stuff like that. So I definitely feel more comfortable doing stuff like that now, especially being an upperclassman and just having all that time to be able to see how the program is and how everything works. So I think that's really helped me too, is just being able to be here from the beginning.
And then last time you guys played Stanford, the game didn't go as planned, and you guys have developed along the way. Where have you seen the growth, and what's going to be the keys to taking care of business in Palo Alto?
I think that the first time we played them, the ball wasn't moving. It wasn't flowing for us. We weren't hitting shots, and just our offense wasn't great. I think that the ball stuck a lot and we were stagnant. And I think that if you look back in our most recent games, we've done a better job of getting our offense going. Now we need to kind of get our defense back to where it was, but I think that everything is falling in place at the right time. We've been getting better, and I think we're ready this time to be able to give them a good run. So I think that the game on Monday is going to be good, and we just got to focus on Cal right now. But after that, we're going to be ready for Stanford.
Go ahead, Justin.
Kate, you were named Pac-12 Player of the Week. Third time it's happened since you've been at Arizona. How does it feel this time around?
I think it feels great. I think I've been struggling a little bit this season just to get kind of find my place in this in the offense. So I think it's great that I could kind of help my teammates, especially at Oregon and Washington State. So I mean, they just found me in transition and just kind of saw me, and I was hitting shots against Oregon. So I think that kind of got my confidence back. But I mean, it's a great feeling to have, especially like bringing in another Pac-12 award for Arizona.
Did it really sink in this past weekend that it was probably the last time you played with Ari at McHale and Sam, possibly?
Yeah, it's crazy just knowing like how far we've come together, and it's like sad that kind of our journey is on its way to the end. But I mean, I know they're both going to do great things and whatever they choose. Sam has a lot of options. I know what Ari's going to do. So I mean, it's great to know that they made an impact. They're happy with where they are, and hopefully we can finish out this season on a good note for the seniors.
And when the NCAA tournament selection committee announced your team as a number 2 seed and the 8th overall seed, what was your reaction?
I mean, it was kind of surprising. We've been at number 10 for a couple weeks, I think. So it's just kind of surprising that we moved down. I mean, it's great that we moved, and hopefully we can continue to go down. But I mean, I think it's great that people are noticing like how Arizona women's basketball is and how we've developed. So I think it's a great feeling, and but we can't let up. We have to keep being competitive. We have to keep continuing to prove ourselves. So we still have a little bit of time left to do that.
Go ahead, Ryan.
You're mentioning you're taking on a leadership role when Sam leaves. What have you thought about, when they're gone, and I guess you being the face of the program at that point, and do you think you're ready I know you're focused on this season, but is that something you think you're ready for as well?
I mean, I think I am. I mean, I've seen Ari and how she does, and, I just have to be more consistent. I have to be able to do a lot of different things for the team next year whenever they leave. But I think I'll be ready when the time comes. I think I kind of always am, regardless of the situation. So I think we, as people, sometimes we rise to the occasion, and I think that's something that I can do. And so, I mean, I'll definitely have to be more vocal on the floor, especially with having young players that are coming in that are kind of getting new to playing and just being leaders as well. So, I mean, because having Sam and Ari for so long, it's like other people are going to have to find that role too. So I think it'll be interesting to see how we all work it out next year. And I think it'll be great to see how we respond to that.
And you said that you early in the season, you were struggling to find your place in the offense. Like, what do you mean by that, and what has really clicked for you since then, especially these last few games?
I just think I wasn't being aggressive. I wasn't really looking as much like myself like I did in previous years. And I don't know, I guess it's just, I mean, the times are weird. Everything's different, but we had a couple new players. So the offense is different. Dominique, she was such a smart player. She was a facilitator too. So I think that for me, it was just a little different. And I mean, it was a good different, like we're doing great. And so I think that is just being able to find like how I can do stuff for the team too. And so I just started being more aggressive. Like I said, the time off from the COVID stuff really kind of helped me to be able to do that again. And I think that I just have more confidence now.
And earlier you said that when you committed to Arizona, like you trusted Adia's vision. What was it about her that made you think that? I mean, obviously that her first season at Arizona or her second season, the year before you committed, or the year that you were a senior, they weren't good. But I mean, was it something with maybe her track record at Washington? Was it, her history in the WNBA? I mean, what was it about her that you believed that what she was saying?
I think it's that she's just so confident. She has such a family-oriented culture. And I think that that's something that I really wanted, especially going kind of a little bit far away from home. It's not just a drive away. So I think that that was really important for me. And just being able to connect with my teammates, I think is important. I mean, if you can't connect with your teammates, it's hard to find chemistry on the floor. So I think that those were like pretty important factors for me. But just knowing that Coach Adia, she really cares about you as a person, not just on the floor, but off the floor too. And I think that that was something that I really bought into as well.
And then do you have any thoughts on, Adia said this game against Cal is kind of dangerous. You lost to them last year and it kind of after the Stanford win. And obviously you guys have the huge game against Stanford coming up, but you can't overlook them. So what do you just think about that? And also just what Cal presents?
The Pac-12 is just so strong as a conference, I think, for us. And just knowing that you can't take any team lightly, any team can come in and beat you. I mean, we've proved that. I mean, especially last year on senior night when we lost to Cal. So I think we just need to be able to be consistent, not get too high, not get too low during the game, and just make sure that we're focusing on the game we're at, not games ahead of us. So I think that that's something that we're doing a lot better at now. And I think, yeah, like we just have to be ready for every opponent that we're facing.
Anything else for Kate? All right, thanks everybody. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.